G'day, Adam. Welcome back to the landscape photography world. How's your day been?
Hey mate, yeah, good.
That's
Hot
good.
here in Broken Hill.
Yeah.
We were high 30s today, so it's
Oh,
not
that's
air
not too
conditioned.
bad. A little bit better than it was last week in the 40s.
Oh yeah, it was well in the 40s last week. It was horrific.
Or
It's like,
we,
yeah,
we we had a bit of a hot spell ourselves. I think it got up to about 43 was the max where I am, and yeah, it was a bit sweaty. Stayed indoors with the aircon on and jumped in
yeah,
the pool.
yeah. We had 4 or 5 days in a row of it. It was really, really hot, but that's the nature of living where I live.
Yeah, well, you can't live in the outback with expecting a bit of hot water, can you?
No.
Hot weather, sorry, not hot water.
Yeah, no, it's good, but yeah, really good actually. Just day working on all sorts of things today, nothing in particular.
Well, for people that aren't new to the show, they know that you have been on the show. I think you were episode 3 or
Yeah.
nearly 5 years ago. And a lot's changed for both of us in that time. And I guess what I wanted to do was do a bit of a catch up and see how things were going with you, because I know you've gone from passionate hobbyist,
Yep.
for want of a better term, to full-time professional. And I want to talk to you a bit about that transition, but about a few other things that you've got in the pipeline. So
Yeah.
why don't we start with, rather than go right back to, if anyone wants to hear the first attempt at this back
Yeah.
in episode 3, go for it. I don't know that the sound quality is quite as good as this should be.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can do that. But let's talk a little bit about the things that have happened since then with you, and how did you get into the transition to full-time pro?
Mate, honestly, well, first, thanks for having me back. And like, I know I've said this many times, but congratulations because, I think I saw your 100th episode roll over and then the next milestone and the next milestone. It's
Yeah.
like incredible. Like 5 years is a big effort and
Yeah, no, well, it's
a lot of
been a lot
work.
of fun, and wouldn't do it if I wasn't passionate about it. And
Yeah.
having these sorts of conversations is something that really gets my mind thinking about my photography and thinking about some of the things that I'm doing. And so for me, it's been as much fun as I hope it has been for the people that come on the show, and most importantly, to the people that listen and watch.
Yeah, I'd love to say I listen to every episode, but you turn out content quicker than I can listen to it.
Oh, one a week for
Yeah,
the last what was it? You'll be 235, so
that's wild, mate.
235 weeks.
It's wild. Yeah, like we have an off the cuff conversation on socials or via messenger every now and then, and we always sort of reflect on how things have been and what each other's up to. And yeah, when you suggested maybe coming back on, I'm like, wow, it's like not even the same. We're not even talking about the same things now. It's just
No,
so different. It's just, we're like, round it down to 4 years. The change is just immense for you and for me. I think
absolutely.
you've retired,
Yeah.
and you're doing your thing. And yeah, like I know when we first spoke, I was dabbling in doing the odd workshop here or there in Broken Hill, and
Sure.
then that was all during the cyclone that was the pandemic. And
Mm, mm.
yeah, like that gave me a lot of time to consider what the future looked like.
Yep.
That was like a big circuit breaker for me because the years before that I was just like work
Mm.
and travel heaps for work and not home. And yeah, I kind of decided then that maybe I wanted to try and build a transition into something more permanent. Yeah, in within my passion space rather than
Sure.
employment. And like I have had the most epic career in mining, like crazy thankful for all the opportunities I had and
Mm.
all of that. And yeah, so like over the 4 or 5 years, I wouldn't say I built. I think I just chipped away at things, I did something else and something else. And
Yeah.
one thing led to another. And then this big circumstances, a series of circumstances happened in the last sort of 18 months where a few reality checks on life and
Hmm.
all of those. And I just woke up one day, or actually I didn't wake up one day. I was sitting on a rock in the Grampians watching a sunset with a group of photographers, and I decided I needed to leave full-time employment and do my own thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it really that sudden, or you were thinking about it beforehand? As I say, when we first spoke, you were dabbling in doing the odd workshop here and there and trying to work out where you were going to take things. I guess that transition and the thinking behind it is always something that interests me, because I think it helps other people frame. Everyone's circumstances are different, financial, family, et cetera, you know. So, yeah, what happens for one person doesn't always fit, but there are almost always little nuggets of the thinking behind things that can actually be useful to other people. And that's what fascinates me, is how other people might perceive, oh, okay, this is something that I could do, and this is how I would start to think about doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I think over that period in COVID, I decided that I wanted to build something. And like, I think the no-brainer for a lot of photographers when they look at the landscape about how I could make my passion and income.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people is doing teaching and doing tours. But it wasn't the light bulb for me. The light bulb for me was that I really love to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I did that in my full-time job. I've done that as a volunteer in some, I used to teach camera clubs at the community, camera classes at the local community college. And like, it felt like the right move. So over that period of time, I decided that I wanted to go that way.
Sure.
But I was also really realistic. I've got to replace a pretty healthy full-time income. I've got to build, rapport with clients, because clients don't just book things based on your advertising. They book it based on knowing you. And just, I guess I probably had 2 or 3 non-disclosed false starts. Like, it was next year's the year. Yeah. And then next year comes and it's like, I'll just keep working at it. And next year's the year, and then I'll keep working at it. And then, I just felt like the right moment. So I guess it did build and build and build, but it wasn't this conscious, today's the day. Like, I literally rang my wife that night and said, I've decided that I need the change, and it's time for change. Like, and that was like October 24. And then it took a while to get the ducks in the row and make sure that I wasn't doing something completely stupid was the first thing. And then the last 12 months, man, it's just been wild, just whirlwind. So I decided one of the key things that I needed to do for me was to not work at home.
Okay.
Worked at home for my job for 3 years before that, 4 years since COVID, pretty much. And I just couldn't do it anymore. That was a really big problem for me. Just, mental health and, meaningful conversations with people and all of those things. And so I started looking around. I thought, well, if I'm going to go full time, I want to do it on my terms. So I need a space. So, it took me a couple of months to find something that was suitable for that. And then, where I'm here in the gallery now, I was way bigger than I wanted and way bigger than I needed, but it just, it was a path that just fell into place, honestly.
Right.
It's like one decision at a time. And then before I knew it, it was too late. Like, it's easy to pull out sometimes when you dip your toes in and the water's a bit cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was just point of no return. And it's one of the best things I've ever done, to be honest. Fantastic. Yeah.
You mentioned you spoke to the wife, and what was her reaction initially? Did she know it was coming? Was it a shock?
No, she,
oh my God, you're nuts.
No, she knew of my long-term dream, I guess. Let's call it a dream. Yeah. Loosely, it was a plan. But it was a really great, meaningful conversation of I just can't keep being on the mouse wheel anymore,
Mm-hmm.
Like, just going around and around, and I need a change, and I feel like now's the right moment. And yeah, she's super supportive. You know, it still is. Like, she still works full time, but some days she'll come and open up the gallery if someone wants to come and have a look and I'm on a workshop. Or
Yeah, sure.
yeah, like it was great. And like, it was really energizing to come home from that trip and, you know, just start making plans. Like,
Yeah.
it was so good. Yeah, it was really good.
And you mentioned the gallery. You're sitting in the gallery right now, and it looks like a great space.
Yeah.
I guess with any gallery space, A, you've got to find the right sort of building and or the right space for it, and B, then you've got to make it your own.
Yeah.
What was that process like for you?
Yeah. I mean, like I sort of alluded to, I wasn't really looking for a gallery. I was looking for somewhere where I could teach the workshops and somewhere where I could have as an office. And I thought, the economy of owning a gallery is pretty tough. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to pay for a lot of space, and to pay for a lot of space, you've got to sell a lot of prints. But yeah, like this place just happened. Like, yeah, I rang around people I knew that owned property in town, and
Yeah.
my landlord now owned another gallery I looked at years ago, like
Right.
years ago. And he said, I've sold that, but I've got something new if you want to come and have a look. And this building's in an epic spot. Like where I'm sitting now used to be a showroom for ARB
Yeah.
dealership. So like this, yeah, completely industrial,
Yeah.
blank
Four-wheel drive
canvas.
parts and all that.
Yeah. So, and I kind of looked, and yeah, they've done me really well with rent. And like the rent was reasonable enough that I could confidently put quite a bit of money into fitting it out and making
Yeah,
it look
right.
like a gallery. So yeah, and then that was a wild 8 weeks. The start of this year, I sort
Yeah.
of set myself the 1st of March opening date, and I was still working the morning of the 1st of March. Like it was, yeah, it was.
I don't know. It's anything like some of the other people I've spoken to, but you're probably still working on it and tweaking it and changing
Oh,
it.
all the time. I'll
It'll
walk in
never
and
finish.
no. I'm about to. A few pieces have changed around, but I'm about to just flip everything and do a whole new set of images and a whole new set of work. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, which comes at a cost, obviously. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a learning curve for sure. But that's been a really critical part of making that flip to full time real for me.
Yeah.
Is I now have a purpose. I'm now, shooting work with a bit more intent. Like I want this on the gallery wall, and I get up and come to work every day, and it's the greatest space on earth to sit in. Is like this beautiful space full of your own work, and people come in and look around. Yeah, it's been really fulfilling, and it's really legitimized like this going full time as a photographer. I think it would have been like on reflection. I think if I didn't have a space that was mine, I'd probably be struggling a bit for identity.
Yeah. Interesting. I guess the other side of it, on the creative side, is you mentioned the intentionality. Are you now being more intentional about being more commercial with the style of work that you're shooting? Do you have to be because they're the kind of things that people want to buy?
Maybe I should be. Certainly not. Yeah, I shoot what I want, what I like. I've been, yeah, it's one of the things that's changed significantly since we first spoke is the way that I practice photography.
Yeah.
That I feel like the way that I've developed my own style and the way that I've improved my work beyond what anyone could teach me was being more intentional in the field.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, like I just put work up in here that I like. I know there's some prints in here that aren't particularly commercial. I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's work that I absolutely love and I'm super proud of.
Yeah, good.
Everything here has a story with it, like a little story card next to it. Because for me, sometimes the story's as important as the photo. So yeah, it's cool. But that is a good question because I'm sure I could have many more blue skies and tourist type photos in here and probably sell more work if I'm honest with you. Yeah, definitely.
What about the actual working in the gallery as opposed to getting out and shooting? What sort of percentage of time are you spending in the office or in the gallery doing the admin and doing all the other bits and pieces, as opposed to getting out and about and actually making art.
Yeah, I'd love to spend more time in the field, but I never feel hamstrung by it. Like I don't have fixed open hours here. Like
Yeah, right.
I have a nice sign on the door that I flip around when I'm not here that has a QR code on it.
Yeah.
But also says if I'm not here, I'm obviously out making photos, which is almost always the truth. So yeah, I would like to say I do more, but it's probably the back end of that season where I really rarely pick up a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Well,
I
no one
generally
wants to go out in 45 degrees and
nah,
stand in the sun.
the odd little commercial job here and there just to fill the gaps.
Yeah, fair enough.
And this year was wild. Like this year I did Kenya in November, and
Yeah.
it's 4 weeks yesterday till we start a 2-week workshop in Iceland. So
Awesome.
it's like, yeah, trying to fill that low months with something different.
Yep.
And you know, that's all a learning curve as well, just how that works and how much effort it takes versus like the experience has been epic. And next year I'll probably take a little bit more time off over summer though.
Yeah.
Been pretty full on this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about not just the workload, but also the thinking around how you set up yourself for doing and leading workshops. Are you partnering with local guides for somewhere like Kenya and Iceland, or are you know, obviously you know the area around your space, you know, Broken Hill, Mungo, the corner country, down the Darling River and so forth. That's basically your patch, and you know it backwards.
Yeah, I know it better than anyone. Yeah, that's to be honest, I think that's the only way to do it with really high value.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a tough one, right? Because it either drives the price up or your profit down because someone else
right. Yeah, you've either got to pinch your margin or you've got to bump the price for the customer.
Yeah, which is a fine balance, man, because like I do what I do commercially now, and you know I have to be mindful of that. But I also do what I do because I love it, and I see, you know, the prices that end up on some things, and I'm like, oh, like I actually feel pretty hard about it because I know what it does is, you know, the cost of doing some of these things now has taken it well out of reach of most people, like which is a really sad reality. But
I mean, it was already a fairly luxury item, and it now starts moving into not quite super luxury, but high.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where I try and position myself too. Like we're not eating 5-star motels when we travel, but we're also, you know, not living in backpackers. Like, yeah, it's definitely high end, but it's definitely not luxury. And there's still a really big cost attributed to that when you travel overseas. Like, but that's, like I say, that's been a massive learning curve.
Yeah.
But I think the other part of having local guides and local in-country suppliers is, there's a whole risk section as well, you know, commercially. If you're paying them for a service and something doesn't go right, then it's on them. Whereas if you're there flying around in a country you don't know their language and everything by yourself, then there's
you mess up.
There's just risk. And one of the big things I do is like I really make sure I do my best to do everything above board. It's pretty easy to go around some rules, you know, where there's not police all the time, but I make sure if I'm going to a national park that I've got the correct approvals and licenses. And, you know, it's no different when I go to another country.
Yeah, right.
And then, you know, that really removes the ability to do it yourself because you just don't have a team of people to be doing paperwork to back you up because there's so much paperwork involved with that stuff. It's wild.
Give us an example of some of the stuff you had to do, say, for the Africa trip.
Oh, man, like it was a 2-year deal planning that. It was a bit of a spark to start with. It was before I'd go in full time. It was like testing the waters. Like if I go full time, and the reason that I did it was, what do I do between October and March?
Yeah, right.
Because that's a big period of time not to have income. If that's going to be my future, I'll need to test the water and find the things that fit. And so going through like months of vetting safari companies and deciding who suited the product that I wanted to deliver the best, and then negotiating itineraries and looking at the camps that were suggested, and like so much. It's so much, yeah. Yeah, it was a wild process. But I can only imagine, like, if I didn't lean on a provider for that it would have been 100 times more paperwork.
Yeah, right.
Like booking camps and motels and cars and guides and prepaying park fees and and I actually don't think you can in some of those countries. Like I think to do those safari type experiences, you have to have like a license and certification. So
yeah,
you just have to leave that with the professionals and try and add the value by being the person that pulls it all together and being the person there to help everyone get unreal photos.
One of the challenges that tour leaders, or because you are effectively a tour guide yourself, but a tour leader or a workshop leader is making the experience as personalised for the customer as possible.
Yeah.
But also, when you go to the expense of going somewhere like Kenya or Iceland or wherever, overseas, you also want to get some shots yourself. So do you book in time before or after, or how do you manage that sort of desire to get your own shots whilst also looking after the customer? Because the customer's you're there in the first place.
100%. I only do small groups to start with.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell my clients, like, obviously somewhere like Iceland, I'll probably have my camera with me a lot.
Yeah.
And I can get my shot by showing everyone else how to get their shot.
Yeah.
And like literally once I've got my shot, I park my camera and go and help everyone, or maybe it's the other way around, to set everyone else up and make sure they're right. And then I might get one or two shots. But somewhere like Mungo that I've been dozens of times,
you don't need it. Yeah.
It's so often that I won't even get my camera out, at all. And I tell people at the start of the workshop, if you see me run for my camera, follow me, because something cool's about to happen.
Yeah, right.
Because something that I haven't photographed is about to happen, because I've done those places so many times,
Yeah.
But I'm all about teaching people hands-on how to do things. And often it's actually best I just have my camera somewhere close to where the shot is, and I'll walk people through what I'm doing and how I'm getting it and why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, right.
And then just make sure that they can follow those key steps, and like giving them enough leeway also to make their own creative choices. But yeah, I probably spend 90% of my time wandering to make sure everyone's got a shot, and like 5 or 10% like getting a couple of shots for myself.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and like it's such an important point, right? Is you hear of horror stories of people going on big trips and
spending thousands of dollars to
just get out the bus and there you go.
Left.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit different on a safari trip, because that's all about quick. There's the tiger, lion, whatever, Yeah. There's the elephant. Get the shot.
Yeah. I mean,
you get what you get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I kind of expected that on that trip.
Yeah. Okay.
But that trip is very small, like in terms of group, like most people that were ever going to be in a car on that trip was 3.
Yeah.
So I actually found shooting and then just explaining to everyone what my thought process was really helped everyone else. So like I could see something was about to happen, and I'm like, guys, make sure you've got your wide lens ready.
Yeah.
And like an elephant come really close to the car, or I could be taking a shot and say just check that everyone was right and get the guide to move the vehicle a few meters just to clean up the background. Or it actually worked really well to be shooting, but then just walking through my mental process, because that kind of photography is so hands-on. You can't be at someone's shoulder.
Yeah, that's right. But there's also sometimes not a lot of time to actually sit and explain, well,
Yeah.
this is what's going to happen and this is how you set yourself up. You've got to be set and ready to go before you get out there.
Yeah, and like I had great, super competent photographers too. So the things that I was adding were just my insights.
Yeah.
Like, it was raining and we were at a Pride of Lions, and I had kind of realised through looking at my shots that we really needed to have a shutter speed around a 60th to get, the nice long raindrops, for example.
Yeah.
And then, just tell the guys, hey, if you can, try and get your shutter speed to this because you can get those really cool raindrops in the shot. And, now would be a great time to use your polarizer. Now would be a great time to get your wide lens out. Don't forget to shoot the wide shot. And the guys that come on the trip got some unbelievable photos. It was really cool. Whereas something like Iceland's like completely different.
Yeah.
It'll be...
You can stop in a place, take your time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of hate the thought of it, but it's like everyone line up your tripods, here's the shot, which is probably what some of those places will be like, just from what I've investigated and seen.
Yeah.
But sometimes that can be a really good opportunity for people to learn as well.
Definitely. I think looking at the back of someone else's camera or looking at what someone else is doing is almost always educational. You might look at it and go, okay, well, I'm not sure what they're really focusing on here, but when you see the final image, you go, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, definitely. And like the same thing goes, like the people coming on this trip to Iceland, are all competent.
Yeah.
So it'll be just helping fine tune. And
I do like the fact that also you can have 5 photographers within 20 metres of one another and they all come away with something different.
Yeah, so good. Especially once, that's why I mentioned, one thing I try to let people do is help them with what their thoughts are, not tell them how to take a shot.
Yeah.
Unless obviously they want to just get that shot, and then I'll help them. But by helping them improve on their thoughts and what they see, it differentiates them from everybody else. Like everybody can go stand in the same spot and shoot the same image. Yeah. But when you get a couple of really competent photographers together, often you can stand next to each other and not get the same shots at all, like completely different. Yeah, which is a really cool thing about our art.
Yeah, definitely. Pardon me. Talk to us a bit about the workshops locally and how many of those are you got planned for this year? And
too many this year.
How's booking going? Are they all booked out? Are you still got space?
Like bookings have been incredible. Ironically and weirdly, the back half of the year is pretty much bumper. It's like,
wow.
There's the odd one place here or there, but I've got Kangaroo Island in March and Broken Hill and Surrounds in March that are sort of got a couple of places on them.
Yeah, nice.
But like what I do is small scope. So like for me to say I'm booked out, it's amazing. Like, and it's super cool. But, the reality is it's 4 or 5 people on each workshop.
Right. It's fine because, I mean, handling more than, I always found that sort of 6 was about the limit for me when I was doing workshops, and it was kind of like, I could book another 2, but then I'm running around like a blue-ass fly for the 3 or 4 hours that we're out actually taking shots at sunrise, and then you don't get any time to think about what you're doing as much as when you've got less than 6, and that sort of 4 or 5, I think, is that sweet spot for
100%. And it's like I think there's this really important thing that people don't consider in that space of numbers is it's really tempting to say I'll take 8 people for me, because commercially that makes a big difference, right? I could
absolutely.
I could lower my prices and I could sell to 8 places, but what that doesn't enable me to do is deliver the value that I deliver now.
Yeah.
And people, my clients don't come on a workshop with me just to be taken to nice places. They come because I do my absolute best to make sure they get the best shots and that they learn something, and that, there's really big takeaways from it. If they're big groups, like, you could just start a tour bus company, right? Like,
well, that's it.
and just to unload people at each location and point them in the right direction. It's, it's
down that
not
path, you'll find it. You'll see it.
Yeah, it's just not for me, and there are people that do it well with more than one guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just love the dynamics of getting a small group of people together who all have the same interest, and this really intimate sort of 4 or 5 nights is my typical workshops, 4 nights. Of everyone getting to know each other, and then the friendships that exist well after, you're in my photography friends group, which has been quiet because of me, but there's people in there that are and have been friends for a long time, and they met on a workshop.
Yeah, nice.
And they plan trips together outside of that. And like, I feel like, that's that other key theme of mine, right? Is community is like super important to me. And by just counting numbers, you're never going to achieve anything in that space.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The big places like Iceland and Kenya and whatever aside, how do you decide, okay, well, these are the places that I want to work in? What's your thought process when you're planning out your year? Because you've really got to give yourself at least 6 months minimum.
Yeah. Oh, minimum. Yeah.
Absolute minimum to get people aware of it and get them on board and get them to sign up for it. So how are you planning out your years in advance and thinking about, okay, well, if I'm doing that, then I need to be there, and that's going to, require this accommodation and this travel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
What's that planning process like for you?
Oh, I mean, I'm at least a year ahead in theory. I intend to release my next year's workshops to the public mid-year, just to try and keep some level of control of the chaos, because it's really hard when you like booking workshops 18 months, 2 years in advance. And, you have to understandably move people around. Sometimes their circumstances might change and those kinds of things. And, if you were booking that far in advance, then you tend to have a few more difficult conversations, where someone cancels that far out and wants their deposit back, for example. And it's just not how you can operate in this kind of business. So I 100% have like mass flexibility with people, probably more than I should sometimes. But like, I just think the actual planning of it and planning of locations, I guess you have your bread and butter, right? Which is the things that I do and the things that like only I could do like I do, and that's Broken Hill and Mungo and the corner country and the Outback stuff. I think I've spent huge amounts of money to have a vehicle set up that can support people on those kinds of trips better than anyone. Like, Starlink internet and fridge and 240-volt power and you name it. You don't go without anything. So they're my bread and butter, and I kind of have a beat that I work to with them. So I have a couple of Broken Hill workshops in the calendar. I normally put 3 Mungo in, but tend to do 5 to 6 because it's a really popular place. But then, there's just other reasons. Kangaroo Island come around last year, and it's this place that I've always been fascinated by. It's just this incredible little nugget of all things amazing in one place.
Yep.
And a couple of my clients were talking one night at dinner, and they're like, "You should do Kangaroo Island." And I thought about it, and I looked at it, and then I just thought, oh, well, the people have spoken. And like last year's trip sold out within 8 weeks.
Wow.
Because there was clearly a lot of people waiting for that experience. This year's been a bit harder. I actually think it's a bit on me. I've moved it forward a bit this year, so it's a little bit earlier in March. But I just cannot wait to go. It's one of those places every year. And the same as the Flinders Ranges, that's very adjacent to my bread and butter. Yeah. The reality is it's only bit over 3 hours for me to get there.
Yeah, right.
So it's almost like next door, and it's really similar landscape. And over the years, I've spent countless hours looking and driving around the Flinders. So, but in the future, I don't know. Like you have to keep it fresh enough for you, like that it doesn't feel
Yeah,
monotonous.
I was going to ask about that process.
Yeah,
Continually going back to Mungo, I mean, obviously you live in Broken Hill, so
yeah,
but again, you probably still don't think you've shot it to death, but there may be a time where you go, I'm sick of going back here to the mine and I'm sick of going out to wherever. And
yeah,
you go, okay, how do you keep it fresh?
yeah. I think that's not the challenge I've come up with yet. So I wouldn't really have the answer to it. Like I don't think I'll ever get sick of the local stuff because I've spent my whole life in it. If I was going to be sick of visiting particular
You
places
do.
here, it would have been well before I started taking people there to show them.
Yeah.
Um, I could never ever get sick of Mungo. Like I have this weird connection with that place that I
Yeah.
can't explain. That yeah,
I get it.
incredibly
Having
special.
visited it myself,
Yeah, it's
well, it depends on which way you go in. The 80 odd Ks of rutted dirt
yeah,
roads, not fun, but
it's only 40 now.
is it? Oh, okay. They've
Yep.
extended it.
Yeah,
Oh, is that the bit from the
from
Nielsen
Mildura.
side, the Mildura side?
Yeah, yeah. It's 40 Ks now, and
Yeah.
they're talking about finishing sealing that road this year. So
That'll be interesting. I mean, when we were there was still quite a lot of people around.
yeah,
It's a very popular spot. It'll be interesting once they bitumen that as to how, because that does make it much more accessible to a lot of people. I mean,
I've got concerns. Yeah,
we took our motorhome, which doesn't have a lot of ground clearance because of the step and the water tanks underneath it. And we got to the end of that because it was about 80 k's of ruts.
Yeah.
And we got to the campsite and ended up having to retighten all the screws on all the cabinetry in the motorhome because they'd just been rattled around so much.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have long term concerns, but we could make a whole podcast on that. I think the preservation of all the amazing things that are there is incredibly important. And there's this ethical thing about we produce unbelievable photos from in that area.
Yeah, yeah.
And that means that everybody wants to go and take them.
Yeah.
And the reality is the only safe way and the only sustainable way to visit those areas is with a guide that's trained and approved to be there with you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a massive process. You know, that took me a long time to get. So I have longer term concerns about that. But for now, you know, it's this epic place that half of the allure of the place is the adventure to get there, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. When things are hard, the result is much more rewarding. And I think that is a big part of Mungo.
Yeah.
Is it's not just this easy cruisy trip down the highway.
I mean, we spent 3 nights there and every day was a little bit different and did the guided tour out through the Lunette landscape, which is one of the highlights there. But I absolutely loved the long drive out around, you know, the
loop road.
Yeah, the loop road. You know, where you go across the lake and up over the other side and round the back of the dunes and all that sort of thing. You know, the old farmhouse and whatever that's there.
It's an incredible place, mate.
And I really loved. Actually, one of my favourite shots from there was just as the sun was coming up. I was in the wool shed there.
Yeah,
right
at
near
Mungo.
At Mungo near the ranger station and everything. And all this light was just flooding. Yes, golden light was flooding through all the slats. On one side of it, and I just loved the look of it, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just got some amazing stuff there that isn't just about the Lunette landscape. And as you say, that adventure of getting there, you know, what was for me, you know, 80 k's of teeth chattering.
I could imagine in
roads was. I mean. It wasn't fun driving, but it was still an adventure, and it was a lot of fun when we got there. And you know, I share your concerns that once becomes bitumen all the way, then it just becomes
Yeah.
much like anywhere else, you know.
Being there is a privilege that most people don't understand.
Yeah.
And that, like with most things that are privileges, not rights, they can be taken from us.
Yes.
And I'm so concerned that in some version may happen when people are mistreating or misusing their privilege. So like I'm
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a police officer when I'm there. I make sure that if someone's doing the wrong thing, I go and pull them up and kick them out of the area they shouldn't be. But I think it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that, those privileges are protected like like we don't deserve them, like they're just privileges.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But the answer to your question though is, I guess I haven't really come to a point where I'm sick and tired of things, but I do have a list of targets of places that I want to add, over the following time. And
I know you added the corner country because again, they've got a bitumen road there now, so far more accessible than it ever used to be. And for those that aren't familiar with what that is, I'll let you describe it, but it's basically the junction between a number of states.
Yeah. Yes.
New South Wales, the top left corner when you're looking at a map of New South Wales.
Yeah, you head north from Broken Hill and you drive 3.5, 4 hours and you're in Queensland, right? So
that's right.
It's a real reminder of how isolated Broken Hill is from places when you do that. But there's this beautiful cross section of places that are seldom visited that turn into this great little road trip with just this mad variety of outback things. Like the first night we spent in White Cliffs, which was the first commercial opal field in Australia. So you get that, opal turret landscape with all the ant mounds everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we take the back road across to Tibooburra. So, we once we leave White Cliffs, we don't get back on Sealed Road for a few hours and weaves through this beautiful landscape that's just north of like Murruwinji National Park and this just rugged, just crazy landscape. And then we go to Tibooburra, which is the last town before Queensland. It's a very little town, 2-pub town. Probably should be a 1-pub town in terms of the size of the pub. But and we just had spent 2 nights there. The second day we drive out to Cameron Corner, which is the intersection between South Australia, Queensland and New South Wales, and have an epic adventure out there and see heaps of wildlife and just cool stuff. And then, come back and do the last night in Broken Hill. And it's just it's like you can't do that stuff anywhere or with anyone else. Like it's just this completely unique experience, and it's not just the photos. Like we eat and spend time in the Outback pubs, so you meet some of the characters and because you don't have options outside of the pubs.
Yeah, that's it. There are no 5-star restaurants in Tibooburra.
You eat at the pub or you go hungry. Yeah, so it is a really, really cool thing, and it's probably I only do it once a year, but it's probably been my most popular trip the last couple of years.
One of the reasons is that it is such a rarity for people, particularly from Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, and whatever, to get to places like that.
Like a very, very small portion of people would ever get there in their life.
I mean, not certainly not knocking Broken Hill. It gets far more tourism than that part of the country.
Yep.
It's still, I talk to a lot of people and they know where it is.
Some people think it's just the next suburb over from Pennant Hills.
Yeah. But the 12 and a half hour drive from Sydney then wakes people up to where it is.
Yeah, and it's like, it's hard not to have a soft spot for your hometown.
Yeah.
But people come here and they leave and they think, God, I could have had twice the amount of time. From a photography standpoint, I think it's got more to offer than most places in Australia, purely on the fact that there's so much variety here. Yeah. You go to Silverton, and you can have all those old ruined stone buildings and the Silverton Hotel, and there's a bit of mining history out there, and the Mundy Plains, like the biggest, flattest landscape you'll ever photograph. potentially in your life unless you get to like Bolivia or something.
Yeah.
But then you're going out the other way and you've got the Menindee Lakes and the Darling River and
Yep.
everything in between. You've got the Barrier Ranges, which is this incredibly beautiful rocky range. And then Broken Hill itself's like the only heritage listed town in Australia. The heritage in this place is wild. A town that had something like 70 pubs operating in its peak.
Yep.
It had the highest pub per capita ratio in Australia.
That's mining.
Yeah, that's mining for you. Yeah, like one of the longest operating silver lead zinc mines in the world. You know, they've been mining the ore body here for 100 years. Yeah, it is incredible. And like I'm a lucky local because I get to tell people how good it is all the time, and it reminds me of how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say on that 12.5 hour drive, we took a couple of days because we stopped at a few places on the way. The variation of landscape coming from Sydney, getting through the Blue Mountains, then you got the pardon me, the tablelands behind that, and then you've got the Western Plains when you get out past Dubbo, and things starting to flatten out a little bit. But it is interesting that stretch, say from between Dubbo and Broken Hill, or Dubbo and Menindee, going through Cobar and all that sort of thing, and go over each rise, and each rise you go over, you come into a slightly different micro ecosystem.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like you leave Dubbo.
You've got different foliage in each valley, and then you might hit a flat plain that goes for 100 k's where you don't see a tree.
Yeah, it's crazy. You leave Dubbo, which is like the Macquarie River, I think, or the Macquarie or the Lachlan.
No, it's the Macquarie.
Macquarie. And it's all pastoral land and those magic big gum trees, and like it's such a beautiful area to get around with the camera. And then you get to Ningen, and it's like a little river town.
Yep.
And then you've got a couple little spots before Cobar, and then Cobar's like this weird mulga landscape. It's really closed in and thick mulga trees, and then between there and
you've got the open cut mine and everything in there.
Yeah. And then you get to Wilcannia, and it becomes like grey clay river country, and then you leave there and you go into the ranges and plains before Broken Hill. It is actually a really. I've done that trip so many times, and
I just found the variation on that trip fascinating. And I'd love to spend, I think, a lot more time in between getting into some of those places. Yeah, just exploring around there.
So many things to see. That's
while we're in Cobar, we took a trip up to, I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically a little part of a national park so it's a little about 30 odd k's west of Cobar.
Mount Grenfell.
That's it, Mount Grenfell. Yeah. Where you basically have this huge Aboriginal art gallery.
Yep.
And when I say art gallery, I mean rock art, and I mean cave painting dating back to God knows when. Some of the paintings there, nobody is sure how old they are, but they could be as much as 10, 30, 40,000 years because nobody knows,
That's right. And it's just this random spot in the middle of nowhere. Like it's just, if you could drive past the sign and not even know what it said, for that.
Exactly. Well worth the drive out there. And we made a point once we did a bit of research about it, it was to take that turn off to Mount Grenfell and go and have a look, simply because it was just sort of something a little bit different than just driving. I've never been keen on that mad, white line fever, got to get to the destination. Yeah. I'm always about the journey and taking the time.
Yeah. Like we talk about the landscape and all the stuff in between, but like let's not even considering the variation in wildlife between here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You can see nearly every parrot.
Pretty consistent.
Oh yeah, they're a real problem out here. Yeah, but you could see nearly every parrot that exists in New South Wales between Dubbo and Broken Hill.
Absolutely.
It's this beautiful just trip. There's so much.
Yeah. I reckon we saw probably, obviously, from over this side, we saw the eastern grey kangaroos in some of the pastoral lands and whatever on the way to Dubbo, and you still see a few of those bouncing around the west of Dubbo, but then you start to see the reds. But then
Yep.
you also see a lot of different types of wallaby.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was interesting. I
Yep.
mentioned the goats, though. I
Uh,
just couldn't believe the number of them down the side of the road.
they're so destructive. Yeah, they're the more time I spend in the bush, the more I see how bad it is because of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they don't eat, they trample, and it really takes from all the other native wildlife. But yeah, it's another deep, probably political conversation. That one.
Now, like, when they're a pest like that, I don't, and in the proportions that you see them
Yeah,
on that drive, I was just blown away by
between Cobar and Wilcannia, they're terrible. Yeah,
yeah.
terrible.
And I do not exaggerate. It was tens of thousands of the things, you know.
Yeah, they have good road sense though. So
Oh yeah, they don't. They very rare that you see a dead one.
yeah,
You know, where a road trains took them out, but
yeah.
yeah,
No, they're pretty good like that. They don't
yeah,
interrupt your trip or anything. But yeah, it's sad to see what they do to the country for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just couldn't believe how many there. But yeah, it was great. I think it was one of the first time my wife had actually seen emus in the wild.
Oh yeah,
They'd seen them in parks and wildlife parks and zoos and whatever, but
Yep.
yeah, it was first time she'd sort of seen mobs of them and managed to see some of the males wandering around with chicks because
yeah,
the blokes look after the
yeah. It's great.
the young ones, which is a little bit different. But yeah, it was really interesting seeing mobs of them, you know, and there was, oh, I think the largest group we saw, there was probably about 50 or 60 of them.
Yeah, they sort of, particularly if it gets a bit dry, they start to sort of all
Yeah, cluster together. Yeah.
cluster up a bit. Yeah, I make it a point every year of trying to get out and find young chicks. It's one of my favourite things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hear them out around Mungo as well.
yeah, I did. I guess that's we've just come across an answer to, you know, keeping from the boredom, right? Is last year I introduced like a wildlife and wildflowers version of
Yeah, right.
the workshop, and it's really a lot of the same locations, but it's really taken people that maybe don't want to dive deeply into landscapes, but want to do the wildlife and the wildflowers and stuff that we didn't get many of this year, wildflowers, but we had some epic wildlife encounters, and we visit some of the same areas. You know, we still did White Cliffs, we still did Toowoomba, we still went to Cameron Corner, we did stuff around Broken Hill, but the variety, like the shots that everyone got, was nothing like the normal trip where we saw emu chicks and we sat near water holes and got, you know, families of kangaroos coming in the afternoon light for drinks, and yeah, all these really cool variety of same place, different story, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
I guess you talked about changing some of what you do and being more intentional with your photography. I'm interested in digging into that a little bit and understanding, you know, what that actually means for you. And, you know, I guess part of that is changing things up. I can see on the wall behind you, there's a few wildlife shots, you know, so is mixing it up like that part of it? Is it more than that? What is it that you've changed or you think you've changed in your work?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So I think like spending time noticing where your mind goes is a really nice thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And probably 3 years ago, I really wanted to do more wildlife photography, which I hadn't been doing much of. Like I've always loved photographing animals, but there's a difference between doing wildlife photography and taking the odd wildlife photo. Like it takes a whole nother level of commitment, and you know, you've got to forget about the landscape and the beautiful sunset and watch the animals, you know. So that's one thing, you know, is follow your nose, follow your interest. I think that's been really powerful. But it's probably like 4 years ago, probably that year after, you know, we first spoke on the podcast, that COVID really drove me to, you know, like it did most of us, to explore our own backyards, right? And
Right.
I was just out in my own landscapes, like that I'd seen hundreds of times, and I had this real epiphany moment where it was like, whether we want to be or not, we're so heavily influenced by things that inspire us. And I know we touched on it just in our pre-chat, but this cycle of social media, right, it's so good for inspiration. Like it's the most powerful inspirational tool we have, is to see all this epic stuff everyone is making.
Yep.
But I had this shift, and it happened like I remember the moment, like it's this strangest concept, but I was out and I was shooting the same landscape, which is this beautiful landscape. And for God knows how many weeks, I went out 2 or 3 days a week during COVID and just put my backpack on and walk through the hills, literally. And you know what the hills are like around here. It's not like you're just cutting tracks up rocky hills. And I just had this moment where I was like, sat down and quiet, and like I was a bit frustrated, right? Because all the work that I'd been seeing that was inspiring me, I just couldn't create because now I couldn't travel.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I was heavily influenced by guys doing really epic dynamic scenes that you have to be in the Blue Mountains to do, or you have to be down the beach to do, or any of those things. And I just had this moment where I was like, well, what if I just shoot the things that I see? And it sounds dumb and simple, but what I started to do,
I know what you mean, but I don't agree that it's dumb or simple.
I mean, it sounds so simple, right? What if I just shoot?
It does sound simple. Yeah.
Yeah. And I created this image that I'm just like, it's a nice photo and people resonate with it. Like I've sold it quite a bit, and it's just this rugged tree trunk with a nice sunset and some trees in the background, a little bush with some flowers, and it just looks like home to me. And then I started to analyze. And anyway, like long story short is I become so much more mindful when I'm in the field. One thing that I realized that I always done, and whether it's an undiagnosed issue or not, is in my head, I see colors and I name them when I've got my camera. So I might be watching a sunset and I'll be like, oh, that's lavender and that's apricot and that's whatever. And the connection for me was, well, now that I'm not trying to create work that looks like everybody else's, I've got this awareness through being really present while I'm there with the camera. My whole process went from, I could have spent an hour editing a photo to, like, if I've got to spend more than 5 minutes on a photo, I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
Because now I'm like, when I get to color balance, the connection is I need to make it look like I remember it.
Yeah. Right.
And just that simple, statement is edit my work to make it look like I remember it has been so powerful because we all see the world differently.
Yeah, definitely.
And me trying to create a version of something that inspires me is a great tool to learn, like it's frustrating tool to learn sometimes, but you learn skills. But when it really comes to creating your own work, the only thing you can do is create the version of the world that you see.
Yeah.
Because you hear that often, that common conversation with artists and photographers is, how do I develop my own style?
Yeah.
Well, that's actually how you develop your own style, right? Is you create images that reflect the way you see the world.
Yeah.
Done. There's your style.
Again, sounds simple.
Then there's the skills gap, right? Because what will happen is you know what the result you want is, but you don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
But for me, I was very lucky, right? Because I'd spent so long trying to create a result that wasn't my version that I learnt all the skills.
Yeah.
I learned how to do this and that and things that I don't even use now. Like I wouldn't even know how to, do the Orton effect or this or that or the other in editing. I don't do any of that. If I've got to leave Lightroom, man, I'm like, that photo's not good enough.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But
I've left Lightroom and Photoshop behind. I don't use either of them anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
dumped off their mad subscription model when they jumped the price almost double.
Yeah, there's some for a working professional, it's still a really great product, but for
I'm not knocking the quality of it.
Yeah,
it's got some fantastic tools. I'm a bit dubious about where it's going with some of its AI, particularly the generative stuff.
Yeah,
and there's some stuff in there that I'm not 100% keen on, but currently using a tool that doesn't have any AI capability lets me run most of the Photoshop plugins that I used.
Yep.
There's a couple that it doesn't. I don't need them though because I've worked my workflow around them.
Yep.
But yeah, I've just found it's A, far cheaper, but
Yep.
B, and the economics was one of the reasons why I did it. It was because it's less like, well, pay twice as much for the same bloody product just because you want me to.
It's so true. And like the reality of it is, like, it's like the what brand camera you use conversation is it's like if you could ask 3 tradesmen to drill a hole and 3 tradesmen could use a different tool, but the same hole is the result.
Correct.
And I think, that's like a message that you can just carry on. Like I love my Nikon cameras. Like they've been with me since I first had a digital SLR.
Yep.
Like I've had a Nikon camera in my hand for over 20 years. Does that mean that I'm naive enough to think that they're the absolute pinnacle and the best at any given time? No. Yeah, maybe when they released the Z9, for example, like that thing's still kicking goals now and it's a 4-year-old camera. Yeah. It was freakishly good. But next week, something else comes out. It's the same with software. It's the same with everything you do. It does not matter. If you can get the result you want, the gear doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is all about the skill in using it. As I say, the tool I'm using is like for like without a couple of the flashy AI bits and pieces. So there's a couple of things that I have to do old school.
Yeah.
Cloning out.
Yeah. And you were
I don't clone out a lot anyway. So
yeah, you were pretty deep in Photoshop.
I was fairly deep,
right?
You were,
working with some CGI based stuff out of games and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of where it started for me was editing screenshots and things. Funnily enough, to make them look like photos.
Yeah,
and even down to pixel peeping, where you're actually smoothing edges of getting rid of jaggies that you get in computer generated imagery that now don't exist. But I'm talking early thousands, early 2001, 2002 sort of time. And so you'd smooth out a diagonal line so that it didn't have any jagged.
Yeah.
But you're doing that at a pixel level. So So that I'd already had a bit of a clue. I knew how to use layers. I learned how to use luminosity masks and do exposure blending for all sorts of different things. Focus stacking, et cetera. Nice part about it is all of those tools are still there in the tool that I'm using. So I can still create layers, as many layers as I need, and I can still do what I need to do. And there's like 2 things that take me 3 or 4 steps more than they used to, because I had a single button that did something, But beyond that, it's pretty much like for like, and I'm pretty happy, and it still gets me the results that I want.
Yeah. Well, that's the point. That's that thing, right?
And nobody out there is going to care,
Nah, I've changed my tact on it completely. In that moment of reflection of thinking, well, it changed my outlook on photography. Is I've always had this passion to create beautiful photos, but now it's this different version. Is I want every image, and that's when I first picked my first set of images for the gallery, here's like 25 images. Some of them are 60 inches wide. Like it's really impactful stuff.
Yeah.
My goal was to pick the images that I've created over the last couple of years that best reflected, 1, the story that got me here. But 2, that they're the best reflection of how I remember that scene. That's exactly what I remember. And I've for me, that means I've nailed the edit. It looks exactly like my mind remembers it.
Yeah.
And, like I've developed these awarenesses through this process that I never had, right? Is I know that I see warmer colors different to other people.
Yeah.
And what I call true blue in my color balance setup is much more towards magenta than other people.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I've just learnt these things about myself by this process of remembering how I saw the scene, and then not trying to make my photo look like anybody else's photo, just really working through it in that process. And it's just been the most rewarding thing. And it's probably the one thing that I've done that I hope other people see that's improved my work, like beyond what any other skill could have, any other hard skill, mastering aperture or any of those things that we hyper focus on.
Yeah.
The real skills are those soft skills that aren't technical, because they stick with you forever. Like the equipment's going to change.
Yeah, that's right. Equipment and the software and so forth is always going to change.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's been a nice process, that mindfulness. And then to take it to the other extreme is like I'll often just sit and watch, which I never did. I'd always be like run around spraying photos off, looking for the next composition, or I'd leave wondering whether I got the best photo, or the mindset shift of just being able to sit and be okay with the frame you've got and be comfortable that maybe you did leave a shot on the table there, but you can come back and get it, and not have that weird FOMO feeling that you can get sometimes when you have a banger sunset and it didn't quite work out. By just being more grounded and mindful, I feel like, yeah, it's just better. Like I make better work. I'm more confident about that, and often I'll walk up to a scene, even if I've never been there before, and I'll almost feel where I need to be. Like I look out into this scene and I think, oh, I've got to be over there. And often if I find a great composition in that first few minutes, I'll stick with it and work on it.
Yeah.
Like
Cool.
I won't even wander the scene. I'm like, I felt like I needed to be over there and I found a great shot there. So that's how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift in mindset for someone who's never been particularly woo-woo.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the other things I know that you've gotten into is printing and doing your own prints. And I don't want to get into the arcanities of that because I've mentioned that a few times. And it is a different ball game, and it's a whole other skill set that you got to learn. How's that process been for you?
It's been incredible, and it's something that I've never really considered as a trigger as to what actually got me so keen on photography in the first place. Like my first camera that I owned personally was a digital camera. Like I'm lucky to be of that generation where when I finally had the money to buy my own camera, it was like one of the very early Panasonic digital cameras. And the thing that blew me away, like the thing that really just got me so hooked, was I could go take a photo tonight and I could come home and print it on my inkjet printer.
Yeah.
And printing for a long time was a big part of my practice. Like how I learnt things, how I learnt how bad color management was back then. Like I was, like it's, maybe it's my skills or maybe it's the technology, but it's so much easier to get a good result now.
Yeah.
Whereas historically I had crazy frustrations, but I had Epson A3 Plus roll printer at home for years and printed so much work. And then when I had the opportunity to do the gallery, I had a little bit of budget left, and I feel like one way to provide a better product out of here, or maybe it wouldn't be better physically, but more connection with it, is for people to be able to see that I'm here printing myself.
Yeah, right.
And often like my printer's in the back of my conference room, which is also a part of the gallery, which when I'm not using it is open for people to wander.
Yeah.
And often people ask questions about printing, and I'll always have a couple of test prints scattered on the table. And for people to see that you're creating your work from start to finish, it just adds all this clout to your work, right? Like people are like, oh, you do everything. And I'm like, yeah, I literally do everything.
Nice.
And then my passion for that is just another one of those follow your nose moments, like last year I decided to do a printing workshop where I thought, well, I've got skills in this space that I feel like I can share. And that's been amazing. Because one, it's income where I'm not having to be away from home more days than I am, which is a lot. So it's online. But like, man, like some people have never printed a photo.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Like I come
I
across
can
so
imagine
many
that,
people, that come on a workshop, and I say never printed a photo. Like they might have gone and done one at Harvey Norman, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and
I know what you.
that's not printing a photo.
So,
That's
I use a lab, but I test print before I do it, so
yeah.
that I know I've got the file right before I send it off to the lab. You know.
That's like I think some of those really cheap printing places, and I don't want to name drop
Yeah,
brands. You
I'm
can
definitely
bleep out that last one.
definitely
Um,
using the hard and all. Yeah.
but like it's not anything against them. They've all got great equipment, but
Oh, absolutely.
it's not like you said. It's not the equipment. It's the people.
Yeah.
And paying to have a print put on cheap glossy paper in a lab where the people aren't trained
And don't care.
in color and don't care is like just paying to be disappointed over and over again.
Yeah.
And like I have so many people come and either when we do a Broken Hill workshop or when we're here in the gallery, often I'll print a photo for someone just to show them, like, you may have printed a photo before, but have you really printed a photo? Have you put it on really nice paper, and have you had someone who knows what they're doing look at the tones in the image and all of that? And that's just been so incredibly fulfilling, because the feeling that I get when I print an image and I can hold it and touch it and look at it and find all the flaws that I didn't see on the screen, which is one of the big things that I think we get through printing our images. That's almost like a gift I can give to somebody else.
Yep.
Because, and like, it's a deep topic, but if you shoot to print, your image quality will increase at a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because you won't go, oh, I can just fix that up later, or, oh, it's just going to be on Instagram, or, oh, I won't move the tripod because I'll just clone out the foreground, or like some of those things that you take for granted when we live in social media world, you just can't get away with when you print. And if you're printing A3, A2 or bigger, the non-photographer, the non-photographer will be blown away by everything.
Yeah.
But someone who really knows what they're looking about, or when you look at your own work in a critical manner, you'll see every flaw. Like,
and the bigger it is, the bigger that flaw is too.
Yeah. Like I literally, there's an image in my gallery that has a dust spot in it, and that no matter how many times I've proof printed things or anything, like I can't unsee it now that I've seen it. Like, and it's that kind of thing that you'll never get without printing.
Yeah.
And that's not everybody's cup of tea, right? To get
absolutely.
that nitty gritty. But I feel like it's just this beautiful process that, if you've been shooting for a long time and you feel like you're not having a lot of growth, or you've become a bit stale, putting printing into your practice will sharpen the pencil. Guaranteed. Yeah, guaranteed, because your intent changes, like the end result changes. It's not like, it's just going to go on Facebook and get 6 likes anyway. It's like, this is going to be a piece of art on someone's wall someday.
Yeah.
So it's a really beautiful thing, and like I was lucky enough to have the ability to buy an incredibly good printer, and the work that comes out of it is as good as you can get anywhere.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been a really cool revival of my love for printing, because the last 10 years, I haven't had the space for a big printer, or one of the downfalls of doing your own printing at home is you have to print every week.
Yep.
Because if you're not putting ink through your printer, it gets clogged, and then you put more ink through the printer cleaning it than you do printing.
Yeah, the cleaning costs more than the print. Yeah,
it becomes this hugely uneconomical thing, and it actually becomes painful. So, like when I do my printing workshop, people who are printing at home, I'm like, do one A4 print a week, because it might seem reverse. It might seem like that's going to cost you more money.
Yeah.
But it'll probably cost you about the same amount of money. But what you'll end up with is like 50 prints a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
That's right.
not a whole heap of ink wasted cleaning print heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, yeah, printing's been incredible for me this year. It's or this last 12 months been really, really fun and rewarding.
Cool. Cool. I'm going to ask you a few questions that I normally ask the photographers that I think are a little bit different to the ones that I was asking you 4 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to
anyway.
say, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're different. I'm pretty
I
sure.
probably know the last one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's one that's the same. I might not even ask you because I know the answer.
Yeah.
But what's the best and or worst piece of advice anyone's given you? And I'm going to put some fences around you on this one as well, and not say ever in the last sort of 3 years.
I don't know whether it's advice someone's given me, but if it's advice that I could give somebody,
that's right.
If it keeps you up at night, there's something there. Like if you can't sleep and you can't stop thinking about something, then you need to put energy into that.
Yeah, right.
And that's been this hugely rewarding thing for me, because there's those moments where you have this built up, whatever you want to call it, anxiety around a decision or something you've become incredibly passionate about in a quick period of time or something like that. And if you're losing sleep over something, then it deserves energy.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
What's photography's place in society? Where do you see it? I know that's a big question, but again, I probably put a fence around this and talk in context to some of the stuff that we talked about before the restart of recording.
Yeah, I mean, like we spoke about, photography in society, it's a hard one to frame up. For me, it'll never change, right?
Yeah.
Incredibly important part of my life. Incredibly important. Second to only people in my life.
Sure.
I think for society, though, we're in this weird place at the moment where people haven't quite woken up to the whole ability of AI. And I've seen it a lot at the moment. People saying, "Oh, that's crazy." And you and I, being really visual and even have technical knowledge about how images are created and stuff, you can look at most images and go, "That's AI."
Yeah.
Like there's something about it.
It's getting harder. There's a lot that are really obvious.
Yeah. I have hope. Maybe this is more a hope for society for me. I'm pulling away from the areas where I'm not getting valuable interactions.
Yeah.
So one of the incredibly beautiful things for me when I first moved into socials and Instagram and all of those things was these like great conversations with like-minded people, valuable comments, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gone. Like that's so far gone. It's not funny.
Yeah.
Just recently,
you see the odd flash of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's normally with people who know you, right?
Yeah.
Like it's normally with people who are already within your circle.
Yep.
Just before Christmas, I did a gear video on YouTube, and I haven't done a video for like 4 years on YouTube because I broke 2 cameras filming a vlog, and I just felt dirty, and I just could never get back on the horse.
Fair enough.
But I really liked doing it. And I did this video about what equipment that I took to Kenya. And like I saw a glimpse of that reel again. People were commenting with valuable comments like, "Oh, I did this and I took that. And thanks for this comment because I couldn't decide." And like it felt like there was value there again.
Yeah, right.
So over the little bit of a breakout over New Year's, I actually decided that's my goal for this year. I'm going to make 20 long form YouTube videos, and I've already done one, and it's so much effort, but I'm going to push to somewhere that's more real for now. My hope for society is that hunger for real things will come back and people will get sick of seeing things that are fake. And there's all this stuff happening about credibility of images and stuff happening in the background, credentials and all of that stuff, which I think will probably be a really good savior for that long term. But I'm not against AI at all, actually. I think it's a really useful tool when it's used right. But I do think that people are going to be hungry for real things pretty soon. And what platform and where that happens is probably up for debate, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for now, like, it's really important for me that when I put things out there, that I'm not looking for likes, I'm not looking for subscribers, what I'm actually looking for is connection.
Yeah.
Connection with people. You and I are connected on Instagram, right? When Instagram was cool.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's one of the things is that the social aspect, the actual social aspect of social media has almost disappeared particularly on Instagram, particularly for stills photographers, which is where it started. If you're a video TikToker, influencer, that sort of thing, I think, okay, you may still get plenty of not just likes, but plenty of interaction, whether or not it's valuable or not, that's another thing. But I think that for me is what's missing. And it's one of the reasons why I've sort of pulled my horns in on posting as well. And I'm being a little bit more intentional about what I'm using social media for. Most of it is about promoting this podcast.
The reality is that social media has become media, and media is a part of the marketing cycle.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to get deep into it. And
absolutely.
If you're running any form of business or project that needs exposure, you have to do it. Like, it's evil. You know, you have to do it. And like, if you look,
very difficult to get the word out there without those sorts of tools. So.
Yeah, if you look at my Instagram feed at the moment, I think I've done like 3 posts since I got back from Kenya. Like, I haven't had the desire to, but I also know that it's necessary evil, and I need to get back into a rhythm, because otherwise, how do people find you? And, you know, my greatest, I don't want to call it a marketing tool. My greatest tool for networking and conversations is actually my email list.
Yeah.
You know, I try to send something out every month. I try to make sure that there's useful information in it, that it's something that I can teach you for nothing today. And then obviously I've got information on workshops and stuff, but the conversations that happen on the back of those emails are so much better than any of the platforms. Like, so much better. Like, I can send an email list out to like 1,400 people, whatever's on my list at the moment. And I could get 30 responses in the day, like literally people starting conversations. And that's the beautiful thing that got me into that aspect of the photography communities, is the community, you know. And I've had a couple of runs at that this year as well. You know, I've created the Camera Collective, which was epic, but I just can't do everything at once. I've had to sort of pull back on that a little bit. And like, people want real stuff, and it's not always just about your photo. It's about the conversation.
I think people do want connection and conversation, and you know, that unfortunately seems to be hard to find on, you know, social media.
I'm hyper aware that I'm a part of the problem, though.
Oh yeah,
because Instagram's become so laborious for me that I go on there, and where I used to dedicate 10 or 15 minutes a day to just solely looking at people I follow and liking and commenting and whatever. It's become so laborious, I can't do that. And
a really good example of that is just doing the posts. So every week when I release a new podcast, I do, here's the audio, here's where to find it, and here's the video edition, and here's where to find it on the YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. You've Adam. I'm talking to everybody else.
Everyone's subscribed to Grant's.
1 or 2 people that'll actually listen this far in.
But no, it is
the one tool or the one platform that I swear at the most is Instagram. Because you get, say somebody's got 14 or 15 shots that I want to put into a carousel. to say, okay, well, here's the logo, here's a shot of the person, the profile shot, and here's some examples of their work. And do you think Instagram on Android likes that?
Yeah.
I had one, and it seems to be every time they make an update, they break something.
Yeah.
And it might have been the week before last. I did it, hit send on the post, and when you actually saw the post, each of the images after the first two, so you had the logo shot and the shot of the person, every other one was sort of half or a third of the way down. That was all the image you saw, and the rest of it was just grey box. And it's like, so then it's delete that whole post,
Start again,
do it again, and cross your fingers that it works the next time.
I feel really let down by Instagram, right? Because it's meant to be our home.
Yeah.
Like the literal start of Instagram was stills photographs taken on mobile devices.
Yeah. That's right.
And like what it's become is this monster that they probably didn't have any choice in, right? Because of the way that the world ingests entertainment.
Yeah.
So I don't feel hard by them, but I feel ripped off because I go to Instagram, which was this beautiful place with all these great conversations and inspiration. And it's just not the same place anymore. It's really, really tough. So,
I used to spend a bit of time trying to curate my feed a little bit in terms of what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And unfollowing a whole bunch of people and following the right people and commenting and liking the right sort of thing, so that trying to give the algorithm a bit of a hint about what I want to see, but I still see a lot.
No, you stop inadvertently on one thing that you don't want to watch.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is you might not even be looking at it,
Yeah.
You might have put your phone down because you mid-scroll, the wife said, can you come and do something for me?
100%.
So you put your phone down and it's stuck on that thing, so it thinks, oh, you're interested in that. Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it does have a not interested button, but you've got to go for it, and you've got to turn stuff off. So I do that occasionally, but just some of the dross you see on it is just...
I've got a whole heap of content planned for my 20 YouTube videos around, some of these topics, because I think people want to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to... I
was going to say, we turned 2 questions into 20 minutes.
That's right. Yeah. Are there any photographers out there that you should, or that I should be talking to on the podcast? I know you gave us a couple the last time, but
like some of the same people consistently inspire me, and I know you've had Brett Wood on.
Yeah.
I know you've had Kim Blake on.
Yeah.
Have you had Tom Putt on?
No, I haven't had Tom yet.
Yeah, he's really inspiring. And my shift for inspiration, I guess that's probably a caveat now too, is my shift for inspiration now isn't so much about, like, obviously I love great photographers. There's so many of them.
Sure.
But like I love what people are doing within their niche and within their space.
Yeah.
And particularly those kinds of guys that are doing great things with their businesses, and like it's just a different perspective now, for me. But there's the people that inspire me more than like they'll ever know are like my clients. Like some of them are incredibly talented photographers, and I just wish they could see their work through my eyes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because the whole mental battle about how good or bad you are is a whole. You can make a whole podcast series on that because it's a really deep topic. But there's so many just brilliantly talented people with vision that don't even know it, literally. Yeah, don't even know it.
I think imposter syndrome plays into that. People think they're not good enough, or
hugely. Yeah, and the communities that we surround ourselves by are the fuel for the imposter syndrome.
Totally.
And there's some really non-productive communities that you can join in the photography.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and name names, but there's many like Facebook groups and other organizations and other things that you can get involved in photography that can actually take away from your experience, not add to it.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you the pizza question. Actually, no, I'll ask you a different version of it.
Oh yeah.
What is your favourite pizza topping?
Oh, I'm on a mad pizza journey at the moment. I got a
Yeah,
pizza oven for
yeah.
Christmas.
Well, I knew you had one in the backyard. So,
My most recent creation is lamb
mhm.
with red onion, roasted capsicum, and then just a little bit of feta.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
freakishly good, like
red.
ridiculously good.
Any tomato base or
Yeah, tomato based.
yeah, tomato
Just
base.
really just the tiniest bit though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Just a
yeah,
smidge. That's all you
just
need.
the tiniest bit. And
Perfect.
yeah, it's really, really, really good. Or the classic that most people don't even consider is just like a really good garlic cheese pizza
Yeah, nice.
with a homemade garlic cheese butter. Yeah. Yeah, I've cooked so many pizzas since Christmas. It's been crazy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Some with pineapple.
Fantastic. All right. Well, again, it's been wonderful catching
Yeah.
up with you, mate.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but fantastic seeing you and seeing how successful you're starting to become, and all power to you. And I guess, where can people find you? Where can people find your work?
Oh,
If you're ever
like
in Broken Hill, go and visit his gallery. It's well worth it.
yeah, absolutely. So it's actually called the Gallery Broken Hill. So
Nice. Makes it
it's got
easy.
its own title and venue because it is a venue as well as my gallery. So I have rentable offices and conference space and stuff. So
Cool.
yeah, it's easy. It's like literally in the most prominent place you probably drive past 2 times a day in Broken Hill if you visit. But yeah, like websites, just adamedwards.com.au, Instagram, just I'll be the first Adam Edwards that comes up. To Adsy Edwards on there, and same on YouTube and stuff. Pretty easy to find.
Well,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. And like, well, the one thing I would say is if anyone wants to do anything out of this, is don't like if you want, follow me on things. But if you really want quality, like conversation, real things, is go and download a couple of my ebooks because it'll put you on my mailing list,
Nice.
and there's value out of that. It's not just this hollow thumbs up to everything. There's
Yeah.
real value conversations come out of that.
Awesome. Thanks for coming back on the show, mate.
Mate,
Okay.
thanks for having me. Well, here's to another step towards 300.
Yeah. Well, won't be long.
We'll have to have some sort of event for
Yeah. I'm not sure what I'll do.
Yeah, no,
No, to be honest, I haven't really celebrated milestones other than with a post saying, "Hey, this has happened."
yeah,
I've hit 100 or I've hit 200. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't.
I mean,
I don't
you're
get
the
excited about it because I'm just doing it.
yeah. I think it's nice to look at where you've come. That's why when you mentioned coming on, I thought that would be a really cool thing, right? Because life's changed so much for both of us in that period of time. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, and yeah, all the success with what you're doing because I know you do it because you love it, but you also deserve to be able to do it in a capacity that makes it worth your time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
For
Appreciate
sure.
it. Thanks for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at grantswinburnphotography.com along with prints and photography gear. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps the podcast to be seen. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.